So if you're living in the Big Apple, Manhattan, and you're thinking about making a move to Long Island, there are a few things that nobody tells you. And I see this happen a lot. People get really excited about the idea of more space, having a big house, having a yard, maybe getting out of the intensity of Manhattan a little bit. But once they actually move, there are certain adjustments that completely catch them completely off guard, and not necessarily bad adjustments, but just real adjustments, because Long Island is not just Manhattan with houses. It's a completely different type of lifestyle, pace, and all that type of stuff. So today I want to talk about the things that nobody tells Manhattan buyers before they move to Long Island, the stuff you usually only realize after you're already living there. So the first thing that nobody tells Manhattan buyers is how much your daily routine changes. This is one of the biggest adjustments, probably the biggest adjustment of them all, right? In Manhattan, life is built around convenience. Everything is right there. You walk downstairs and there's Starbucks, there's shopping, there's restaurants that are open 24/7, there's grocery stores, gym, pharmacies, all right downstairs. While Long Island is completely different. Life becomes more planned out. You're going to be driving more. Errands take a longer time. Even things like getting coffee or going to the gym become actual trips instead of a quick walk downstairs. And for Manhattan buyers, that adjustment can feel a little bit strange. Especially if you spent years barely using a car or not even having a car. Another thing that nobody tells Manhattan buyers is how quiet Long Island can feel. The first reaction people have when moving to Long Island is either this is peaceful or why is it so quiet, right? Because Manhattan, it has constant movement. There's noise, there's energy, there's a lot of stuff going on. Even late at night, there's always something happening, whether it's 1 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning. Then people move to Long Island and suddenly the neighborhoods are quiet, by 9 or 10 p.m. And honestly, some people love that. That's something they love immediately, while others, they miss the city energy way more than what they expected. Another thing that catches Manhattan buyers off guard is going to be maintenance, right? A house is very different from, an apartment. And in Manhattan, a lot of things are handled for you, whereas on Long Island, now you're dealing with landscaping, you're dealing with snow removal, repairs, utilities, maintenance costs. People get excited about actually having a backyard. Then they realize that someone's actually got to maintain it, right? So you got to hire some landscapers. And that's a big adjustment to me. It's a big adjustment. It's something you really got to think about. Another thing that nobody really explains is how different, the towns on Long Island can feel. A lot of people picture Long Island as one big, giant suburban area, but it's not really like that, right? All the towns, they kind of have their own type of feel, their own type of character, right? And so it's something you really want to, if you're from Manhattan, take a drive out to the area you're looking in, and get a feel for it. Like, imagine, can I actually see myself living in this place, right? Is this somewhere I can actually see myself making that transaction? Too many that transition. Too many people, they're just thinking about the house, but they're not thinking about the lifestyle. You want to drive around, figure out which town fits your personality. Because it doesn't matter about how nice the house is, right? It matters about the feel and your lifestyle, right? Also think about the commute, right? If you're moving to Long Island, and you still work in a city, that reality can kick in really quickly when it comes to taking out Long Island Railroad, right? Is it going to be a big part of your life? And you want to make sure that you're aware of how far you're moving into Long Island and how that's going to affect your day-to-day life and your daily routine, right? So it's very, very important to factor these things in, right? So, I think a lot of Manhattan people who move to the city, You know, it's a culture shock when they finally have their own driveway, they have outdoor space, they have privacy. And for some people, that's a hard thing to go backwards on, right? They're happy with that. But some people, they may miss that busy lifestyle in Long Island. So these are all things that I really want you to consider, to think about if you're moving from Manhattan to Long Island. You know, are you going to appreciate the faster pace? I mean, at the slower pace of Long Island, or is that going to be boring to you, right? So you really got to think about that and figure out which works best for you. Because it's funny, you know, not everybody adjusts the same way, right? Some people genuinely belong in Manhattan and they love the city life forever. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, a lot of people eventually realize that, you know, they were craving something a little bit different in their life, right? They just want a little bit more serenity. They want more room, more privacy, etc. So if you're thinking about making that move, feel free to reach out to me. If you're thinking about moving to Long Island, all of my contact information is down below, and I will be more than happy to help you out with that. So thanks for checking out today's video. Hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all again in my next one. Take care.